everyone. If you have a chair to sit down in, please sit down. We want to start promptly, so we're not here till midnight. Okay, everyone's got a seat at the table? Okay.
Hello, hello.
Welcome. Hi, honey.
Hello.
So I was walking and my foot slipped and the towel.
Hey, Dad. I think she said hello. Yeah. She did. Next to you. Yes. Oh, here she comes.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our Moorings Park Community Seder 2025. I'm so glad to see all of you here. It's just a thrill. It used to be that, I'll just say that when my husband and I moved into Moorings Park, there were 3 Jewish people, and that was a woman named Ann Jacobson, who was a wonderful pillar of the community, and Steve and me. And our original Passovers that we had, our Seders that we had at that time, we had an equal number of non-Jewish people as well as Jewish people. And now predominantly we have Jewish people here tonight, and are always welcoming people who are non-Jewish to be here. But it's an amazing turnaround because we now have a large Jewish community of over 100 people at Moorings Park between all 3 campuses. So that's quite an accomplishment over the last, 4 or 5 years at the most. So I just want a couple of housekeeping things. There are eggs here and out the back door and another door over there. We probably won't need them, but if we do, that's where they are. If you go out the door through the library where you came in and take a right after you get through the library, there is a restroom for males and females out there. So that's the other housekeeping duty that we have. When we finish our Seder tonight, if you'll please take your name tags and put them on the same as you had originally. Can you hear me now? We are so fortunate that we have Rabbi Perman this evening and his daughter. Okay.
This one.
We'll try again. So that's better, isn't it? Okay. I was just saying that we have Rabbi Perman, Jim Perman, here this evening to lead us through the Haggadah, and his daughter, and Jane Perman's daughter as well, Debbie Bruckman, who is a song leader. And you'll have a Seder tonight that will not be like your grandfather's Seder. Let me just tell you that. So Last night, my husband Steve and I finally found 3+ hours to watch The Brutalist. And there was a statement in the prologue that is from Goethe, and it says, "None are more hopelessly enslaved than those who falsely believe that they are free." And Passover, as you know, is all about freedom from enslavement. But what this statement is saying, that even when you are no longer enslaved physically, there are other things in this world that cause us to be enslaved.
Okay. Yeah. Do you have a, no, here. Here we go.
No, she needs the supplement.
You don't need the mic.
No. Or put that closer.
This?
Go ahead, it's working.
This third candle. When a loved one dies, especially a young person, a rabbi will often suggest, light a third candle every Friday night. Years later, many still do. Tonight, we too light a third candle to remember and not to forget. For their memories to be a blessing, for their names we are just learning. Names we shall always remember. We light for them. For soldiers, concert goers, kibbutzniks, we light for them. For people who just wanted to live their lives in peace. For those who worked and strove for peace, we light for them. For those taken hostage, we light for them. There are not enough candles. There is not enough grief, enough anger, enough worry, enough sadness. There are not enough candles. Let us be the light. Let us be like the sparks released at the dawn of creation. If there are not enough candles, let us then be the light. And now we turn to the Haggadah, page 1.
Yep. Inside cover.
We light these candles. Oops. We light these. All right, one more try. We light these candles for ourselves and for the world. We pray that their brightness and warmth may bring joy and hope to us and all our dear ones. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kadeshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel yom tov. Amen. We praise you, O Lord our God, ruler of the universe, who makes us holy through your commandments and bids we kindle these festival lights. We praise you, O Lord our God, ruler of the universe, who has kept us alive, sustained us, and brought us to this joyous occasion. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, she'achiyanu v'kiyimanu yazman hazeh. Amen.
No, Mike. Thank you. Okay, thank you, Trudy. I have to tell you that if it wasn't for our founding mother here, we would not be here tonight, or at least we would not be here tonight we wouldn't be here for another few years. Trudy has built this, with Steve, has built this community, has kept us in motion, and has given us a brief history with a long future. And it's hard to say what's going to happen in the future. I think it was Yogi Berra who said, I don't make predictions, especially about the future. But I think we have a good one to look forward to. So this is, as she said, this is not going to be your grandfather's Seder. I don't know your grandfather. But my interest is primarily and has always been in the field of ideas. And the ideas underlying the Seder, the reason we're sitting here tonight, are among the most powerful ideas in the world, among the most powerful ideas that had ever happened. Last month, Jane and I were at the Phil, and we do the classical series, and the conductor, Alexander Shelley, gave a little pre-concert talk with Kathleen Van Bergen about the program. The program was Beethoven's Ninth. Beethoven's Ninth was enormous. Beethoven's Ninth filled the stage, full orchestra, full choral society, amazing. But he said something when he was talking about the music. And he said, there are different kinds of music. He said, there's music that we just listen to. And we hear it. But then there is also music that actually enters us, that becomes a part of us, that melds into our very being and helps to define us and makes us more and makes us better than we are if we had not heard it, if we had not been a part of it. And that idea was with me for at least a month. And I was walking around thinking about it. And what occurred to me was that what was true of music that he defined is also true of stories. We are the stories that we take into us, that we accept. Parents can tell children, I want you to be honest, and keep repeating it over and over and over again. But we have a story about George Washington and the cherry tree, and we remember that. I can't tell a lie. I have to tell the truth. We live in an amazing place, and our place is an exception to the world, literally to the world. Tonight we're going to ask, how is this night different from others? You can also ask, how is this year different from others? And the world has never seen a year like this. The world has never seen a stock market like this. All around the globe, things are changing. And blame whoever you want, but things are changing. And we need constants in our life. The biggest crisis in your life cannot be whether to go to the clubhouse or order home dining. And this is a defining story. This is a story not only tells us who they were, it tells us who we were. And the story of the Exodus. And the Exodus is not confined to Jewish people. It's our story. But if it weren't for the Exodus, there would not be a Christianity, there would not be an Islam. The world would look very different. So we need to understand that we're not reading and talking about them. We're reading and we're talking about us. We've also been living under the shadow of October 7th, 2023. It doesn't go away. It's not going to go away. Because there were people who simply wanted to kill. If we had been there, we would have been targets. And it's really important, it's essential that we understand. It's important that we understand that we're connected to those people. We have an empty chair here on the other side of Trudy. And that's symbolic. That's the hostage who isn't at his family's table. That's the hostage who can't recite the Haggadah. That's the hostage who, one way or another, this is what we need to understand. And so we place that chair there, that empty chair. And it symbolizes what we're doing. Those hostages are still there. They've created an incredible problem for Israel. Israel is on the horns of a dilemma. No matter what you think of their government, it has a dual dilemma. It has to free the hostages because the Israeli people won't settle for less, and they shouldn't. It also has to destroy Hamas, because otherwise they're just setting up the next war. Guaranteed. This is why. And this is the reason that things are so difficult right now. We want them out. We want those hostages back. And in the American musical tradition, there is nothing that expresses that better than a song called Let My People Go. And you'll find it in your Haggadah. Let me just footnote here. Turn to page, what, Debbie?
34.
Okay. And 34, toward the end. Turn to that page in the Haggadah. You also have another booklet called a supplement.
Is 34 correct? Oh, good. So I came from Brooklyn to sing with you today, but you're going to sing with me. So we start together. When Israel was in Egypt land, let my people go. pressed so hard they could not stand. Let my
They're gonna serve the
people
soup.
go. Go down, Moses, way down in Egypt land. Tell old Pharaoh, let my people go. Thus saith the Lord, old Moses said, let my people go. If not, I'll smite your firstborn dead. Let my people go. You guys can sing really loud now. Go down, Moses, way down in Egypt land. Tell old Pharaoh, let my people go.
I've just been told that we're going to eat this meal in pieces. And the first course is the soup, and the soup is going to come out. So while the soup is coming out, we're going to continue, except I don't want to compete with the waiters. So I want to tell you about Debbie Brookman. Oh yeah, I've got to. This is not only the loveliest, sweetest daughter anybody could ever have, okay, but she is also an accomplished artist in her own right. She does music. She teaches it. She leads it. She writes it. She arranges it. She composes it. She does everything you can do with music. She has done television production. I'm not finished. She has done television production. She's done documentary filmmaking all over the world. And she's here with us tonight. This is Debbie.
Kiddush.
Okay, how's the soup coming? She's also the mother of two terrific guys who are grandsons.
Kiddush. It is their grandfather's Seder. That's funny.
Yeah, okay. Let's turn to the Kiddush.
Page 6.
You will find it on page 6.
Marcelo.
Okay, somebody give me some wine, please. There's no wine in this. For the Kiddush, I want to call on Marcelo. Marcelo is Debbie's husband. Marcelo is our son-in-law. We are thrilled that Marcelo is our son-in-law. And nobody does Kiddush like he does, mostly because he comes from Argentina. And they do it almost the way we do.
A little different,
A little different.
with a little accent.
Yes, a little Latin accent.
Okay.
Page 6.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam bore pri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher בחר בנו מכל עם ורוממנו מכל לשון וקידשנו במצוותיו ותיתן לאדוני אלוהינו באהבה מועדי לשמחה חגים וזמנים לששון את יום חג המצות עשה זמן חירותנו מקרא קודש זכר ליציאת מצרים כי בנו בחרת ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים ומועדי קודשך בשמחה וששון המחלתנו ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש ישראל והזמנים. לחיים.
Amen. Shachiana. Can you do Shachayan? Okay. Oh, Debbie's doing it, right?
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה. Amen.
Now we turn to the pages of the Haggadah, and if you would turn to page 8. This is a season of greenery. Of course, Florida always has greenery, doesn't it? But it's the season, and part of Passover is marking the advent of spring. And with spring, we turn to our green vegetable and salt water. The salt water.
Let's let them finish the advertisement.
It's okay.
No, I want them to be able to read. We were supposed to serve the soup, and then they were supposed to eat while I was waiting.
Trudy, right now, nothing is happening.
They're eating.
Okay, just
Never mind.
pause.
Okay,
I don't have a mic. I can't tell them to go ahead and
okay. So they're doing it anyway.
Good. Would you like to go ahead yourself?
No, thank you. I didn't know about this.
You're on mic.
Okay.
No, it's not going to be 45 minutes, Dad. It's because we're already halfway in. We just have to get through the 4 questions and Diane. Do you want some soup? It's all good. It's all good. It's all good. Wow. Smile, you're being wise. You know what? It's okay. Okay. That was something. That was kind of funny. You sure you don't want, huh? Okay. Don't. I think 5 more minutes, they'll be done with the soup and we'll just continue on. And don't make a comment about it. Hi. It's okay. All good. Okay. Right. Is that mic using? Okay. Okay, great. Right. It's probably a lot of hearing aids. Okay. We can share this mic, that's all. It's okay. It's not. No worries. It's a non-problem. We're good. We're just gonna do this. It's all good. So, it's a new tradition. You stop right before, dipping the salt, and you have soup. She wanted to have soup before we started, but she didn't tell you that. I think that was her plan, and then we just start. But she didn't tell us that. It's okay. You sure you don't want soup? I'm not gonna leave him. So, okay.
I don't hear any more screams.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to congratulate all of you. We've set a record. This is the shortest Seder that's ever happened. Just kidding. Just kidding. We're back. Do we have a mic that's for you?
I'm Mike.
Is-
I'm Mike.
Your mic. Okay, I'm Charlie. What do you? Okay, well, we turn to page 8 of the Haggadah, the green vegetable and salt water, and I'm calling on Les Blumberg. Where are you? Oh, okay. Les, can you belt it out, please? Okay.
I'll take this. Okay, go there? This way?
No.
This is not good.
What, having readers? Okay. That's no good. All right. Start again, please.
Got a
Les.
microphone. Thank you, sir. So, the last time I was in here, I had a stroke, so let's make me have a stroke today.
Right.
Passover, like many Jewish holidays, combines the celebration of an event from Jewish history and memory, as well as the continued cycle of our national world. As we remember the Israelites' liberation, we also welcome the beginning of spring, the budding of new plants and rebirth happening in the world around us. We now take a vegetable representing our joy at the dawning of spring after our long, cold winter. Many use a green vegetable such as parsley or celery, but some people, primarily from Eastern Europe, have a tradition of using a boiled potato. Since greens were harder to come by at Passover time, whatever symbol of spring and sustenance we're using, we now dip it into salt water, a symbol of the tears the Israelites shed as slaves. Before we eat it, we recite a short blessing. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei ha'adamah.
Amen. Now, would you give the microphone to Ethan, who's going to bring it back here, please? Okay, wait.
Break the middle matzah.
Yeah, this is,
Break the middle matzah.
okay, if we were at home, this would have consequences. In this wrapper are 3 matzahs. I'm going to break the middle matzah, and that one would be hidden as the afikomen. Afikomen is the Greek word that means after the meal. And then we would hide it so the little children could find it. in Moorings Park,
It's self-determination. You're
little
welcome.
children are either guests or they're 65 and above. But still, we break the middle matzah and we tuck it away. And it leads us to our story. Now, one interesting thing here is that we have a very modest story of our origin. We began as slaves. The Japanese descended from the sun god. We began as slaves. But that gives us a very special standing, because we are told, you were slaves, remember that. This is how you treat the stranger. This is how you treat the other. Do not consider yourself superior just because you live in Moorings Park. So we take this and we recite together. This is the bread of poverty. Well, I'm on page 9, in the middle. This is the bread of poverty that our ancestors ate in the land of Egypt. Let all who are hungry come and eat. Let all who are needy come and celebrate Passover with us. This year we are here. Next year we will be in Israel. This year we are slaves. Next year we will be free. And then we turn to the story of the Haggadah. And the story of the Haggadah tells us who we are, where we came from, what we value. And we begin with this paragraph at the top of the page, top of page 10. Ben, can you be really loud?
No, come get the mic.
Okay, or come up here, yeah. We have a visitor in our midst. He's been in the country for 48 hours. He's had a chance to recover.
Thank you.
Ben Iceland,
Thank you.
the Haggadah.
This one.
Yeah.
The Haggadah doesn't tell the story of Passover in a linear fashion. We don't hear of Moses being found by the daughter of Pharaoh. Actually, we don't hear much of Moses at all. Instead, we get an impressionistic collection of songs, images, and stories of both the Exodus and from Passover celebrations through the centuries. Some say that minimizing the role of Moses keeps us focused on the miracles God performed for us. Others insist that we keep the focus on the role that every member of the community has in bringing about positive change.
Thank you. Take this back to the table with you because then we have 4 questions.
They'll come up.
Oh, they come up? Okay. Gentlemen, coming up to do the 4 questions are
Anyone
youngest
under
people we can
21 years
find in the
old.
room.
Is anyone under 21 years old?
Ethan is an engineering student at Georgia Tech. Adam will be a freshman at the University of Binghamton in the fall, having decided yesterday among all of the acceptances.
Where is it?
And these are, okay.
נשתנה הלילה הזה מכל הלילות, מכל הלילות, שבכל הלילות אנו אוכלים חמץ ומצה, חמץ ומצה. הלילה הזה, כולו מצה. הלילה הזה, כולו מצה. שבכל הלילות אנו אוכלים שאר ירקות, שאר ירקות. הלילה הזה, מרור, מרור. הלילה הזה, מרור, מרור. שבכל הלילות עמדים אפילו פעם אחת, אפילו פעם אחת. הלילה הזה, שבטי העמים. הלילה הזה, שבטי העמים. שבכל הלילות אנו אוכלים בין יושבים ובין מסובים, בין יושבים ובין מסובים. הלילה הזה, כולנו מסובים. הלילה הזה, כולנו מסובים.
Thank you, gentlemen. We have to begin to try to answer the questions, and one of the answers is that we were slaves, avadim hayinu. Page 12.
So this is just 2 lines of Hebrew. If you don't speak Hebrew, you can repeat after me and then you'll learn it. How about that? Avadim, hayinu. I repeat, hayinu. Yeah.
Hayinu,
Ata,
ata,
b'nei,
b'nei,
chorin.
chorin,
Chorin.
chorin.
We were slaves and now we're free. Avadim hayinu, hayinu. Ata b'nei chorin, b'nei chorin. Avadim hayinu. Ata b'nei chorin. Avadim hayinu. Ata b'nei chorin. You did great.
We turn now to 4 different kinds of children. And Jewish tradition tells the 4 children with unique ways of understanding Passover. The wise child, the wicked child, the simple child, and the silent child. The other Haggadahs translate this as the one who is unable to ask. All simple or incapable of asking anything. At different points in our lives, we've been each of these 3 children. And when I came to this page that begins with the wise child, I thought of my friend Robbie Wise, because her name is Wise.
The microphone.
I'll ask her to come up, please. Where the microphone, come up, come up. Yeah. Halfway. Okay.
The 4 children. Jewish tradition tells of 4 children with unique ways of understanding Passover. The wise child, the wicked child, the simple child, and the silent child. Yet we know that no child is all wise, all wicked, all simple, or all incapable of asking anything. At different points in our lives, we have been each of these children. What does the wise child say? Together,
The wise child asks diligently, what are the testimonies and laws which God commanded you?
What does it mean to be the wise child?
It means to be fully engaged in the community, to know the limits of your understanding, to be able to search for the answers to that which we do not know. At different points in our lives,
we have been this child, inquisitive, caring, eager to learn and to understand, willing to ask for information we do not have, hopeful that an answer can be found. What does the wicked child say? The wicked child says, what does this service mean to you? To you and not to himself or herself. What does it mean to be the wicked child? It means to stand apart from the community, to feel alienated and alone, depending only on yourself, to have little trust in the people around you, to help or answer your questions. At different points in our lives, we have been this child, detached, suspicious, challenging. What does the simple child say?
The simple
child asks, what is this? What does it mean to be a simple child? It means to see only one layer of meaning, to ask the most basic of questions, to be too innocent and too impatient to grasp complicated questions. At different points in our lives, we have all been this child, simply curious and innocently unaware of the complexities around us. What about the child who doesn't know how to ask a question?
Help
this child ask. Start telling the story. It is because of what God did for me in taking me out of Egypt. What does it mean to be the silent child? This can be the indifferent child, no longer willing to engage. It can be the passive child who just shows up. Or it can be the child whose spiritual life is based on faith, not rational arguments. The child who hears something deeper than words, who knows how to be silent and to listen to the surrounding silence. At different points in our lives, we have all been this child, unable to articulate, quiet, searching for the right words, listening in silence.
Thank you. Get the mic back. Microphone. Okay. We turn to our story now. And to tell you about this, I want to tell you how the Passover Seder got started. You can put the books down for a second. I'm becoming the professor again. There are a couple of dates that we can pin down for sure. Abraham lived in the 19th century BCE, around 1850, something like that. The Exodus actually took place in around the year 1250 BCE. So that would put it about 3,000 years ago. But in the first century, in the year 70, the Romans destroyed Jerusalem and destroyed the temple in the first century. That was 2,000 years ago. And when the temple was destroyed, the rabbis realized that they were facing a huge dilemma. They did not want the people to forget about Passover. And they knew that the temple was not going to be reconstructed anytime soon, and Jerusalem was in shambles. And what should they do? So what they did, what we've always done, they drew on the culture that surrounded them. And the culture that surrounded them was the Greco-Roman culture of the first century. And there was an institution that was long established, going back to Socrates, called the symposium. Today we think a symposium is a source of information. But a symposium was actually a dinner. And the men, of course there were no women there, the men reclined on couches around a table. Servants brought the food. And the philosopher in their midst posed a question, and everyone gave their opinions, and a discussion ensued. They took the form of the symposium and turned it into the Seder, where the question was posed, why are we here? And the answer was given, because we were slaves in the land of Egypt, and we recline because you're reclining on a couch. And that's what free symposium attendees did. And that's how we got the Seder. And this happened somewhere around the 2nd century. So the Seder itself, as we know it, was about 2,000 years old. There was a dispute among the rabbis on what the story was going to be. One said, let's tell the story of Egypt and going free. And the other one said, no, there is an evolution of ideas here going from paganism to monotheism. And we need to understand that. We need to understand that Abraham was the first monotheist. And this became our core story. So they did what any reasonable person would do when they're confronted with a conflict. They compromised. And the compromise was the narration that we now have. So we begin in ancient times with Abraham, who followed God's command and became the first believer. The idea of one God, invisible, all-powerful, inspired him to leave his family and begin a new people in Canaan. Canaan, the land that would one day bear his grandson Jacob's adopted name, Israel. God made a promise to Abraham that his family would become a great nation, but this promise came with a vision of the troubles along the way. Your descendants will dwell for a time in a land that is not their own. They will be enslaved and afflicted for 400 years. However, I will punish the nation that enslaved them, and afterwards they shall leave with great wealth. And so, the Egyptians were only the first. Not only one enemy has risen against us to annihilate us, but in every generation, there are those who rise against us. But God saves us from those who seek to harm us. And what eventually evolved, and this is the genius of all this, what eventually involved was a balance between faith and action. There's a way for me to explain this that you'll understand immediately. In the CHL, next to the third floor elevator, you with me? Okay, there is a window. That window gives you an uninterrupted view across the entire plaza to the Bower Chapel. And you're going to be hearing a lot about the Bower Chapel this year because it's the 25th anniversary of the Bower Chapel. Ever since I heard of this, and I heard of it because my wife Jane was on the committee that originally conceived the Bower Chapel as a community participant. I've been fascinated with the Bower Chapel. And I noticed something when we moved here that I had never seen before. This wasn't just a place where different religious groups hold services. It wasn't just a place where performances took place. But the Bower Chapel symbolized something else. And involved a community. When you stand at the third floor of the CHL and look across the plaza, and you look at the main entrance to the CHL, to the Bower Chapel, you see over the front door, big words. It says, "In your hands." And any clergyman of any sort, any philosopher, would look at those words, "in your hand," any Bible scholar, and say, this means you depend on a power greater than yourself. This means you depend on God. This means you can't control everything. One of the great lessons of life, you can't control everything. However, if you look at it long enough, you realize maybe I could read this differently. Instead of saying, "in your hands," what if it says, "in your hands"? You're responsible. It's in your hands. And Judaism realized there was a tension between relying entirely on God and turning into some sort of human wimp, or taking action yourself and realizing that you still need support, but there is a lot you can do. In your hands, or in your hands. You will never see it the same again. We have had plagues. The Bible describes the 10 plagues that were brought upon Egypt. And we're going to remember them now. So I'd like you to, whatever your custom is, some people use a spoon, some people use their finger. That gets messy. But you dip into your wine and you drop 10 drops onto your plate. And you repeat after me. These are the Hebrew names of the plagues. Dam,
Dam,
Tzefardea,
Tzfardea,
Kinim,
Kinim,
Arov,
Arov,
Dever,
Dever,
Shechin,
Shechin,
Barad,
Barad,
Arbe,
Arbe,
Choshech,
Choshech,
Makat Bechorot.
Makat
Makat
Bechorot.
Bechorot. Those are the 10 plagues. We know what they are. And we think we've been told the story of Passover. I'm on page 16. But wait, we're not quite done. There are still a few symbols on our Seder plate. We have to explain those. Rabban Gamliel would say that whoever didn't explain the shank bone, the matzah, and the maror hasn't done Passover justice. So, what's the shank bone? Where's the shank? Debbie, would you hold up the shank bone, please?
How about I point?
Okay. We have a shank bone? There is our shank bone. It represents the Pesach. Pesach was the name of the offering, the special lamb sacrifice made in the days of the temple for the Passover holiday. During the final plague, the Israelites were instructed to smear lamb's blood on the lintel of their homes so the angel of death would pass over their homes. The sacrifice and now the shank bone are called Pesach, from the Hebrew word meaning to pass over, because God passed over the houses of the Israelites when inflicting plagues upon their Egyptian oppressors. Now let me tell you about the doorposts of the house and smearing the blood on the doorposts. What's the reason that they put the blood on the doorpost? So that what? Somebody, come on. So the angel of death would skip over those. Every year before Passover, I made it my personal spiritual practice to go over the commentaries on the Haggadah. And each year I find new stuff, and it's never stopped, and I have a lot of years behind me. One of them was a 15th century Spanish rabbi who asked a question. He said, what's his business of smearing blood on the doorpost so the angel of death can skip? Angels don't need signposts. He said, I think it's wrong. I think it was transmitted in the wrong way. I think what it really meant was they smeared that blood on the inside, facing their homes. And the reason wasn't to tell the angel of death who they were, it was to tell them who they were. Brilliant. So this rabbi, his name was Abravanel, Don Isaac Abravanel, said they did it on the inside, not on the outside. So that's something to think about. And one comment on the comment was, we should always live in such a way so that our insides match our outsides. Okay? You're going to leave here heavy with Jewish teachings. And matzah. Speaking of which, I gave out little paragraph assignments. We'll give you a rain check on those for next year because the microphone business is too complicated. So we'll just leave it out. The matzah on our table reminds us that when the Israelites were finally freed from bondage, they rushed to leave Egypt before Pharaoh could change his mind. And as they fled, the dough they made for bread didn't have time to fully rise, so they ate flat matzah instead. During Passover, we also eat matzah and refrain from eating anything that is leavened or can rise. So let me tell you another local story. During my years at the temple, I am the emeritus rabbi at Temple Shalom. I had an ongoing thing going with the manager of Publix at the crossroads. He couldn't get it straight. Apparently, Publix had a lot of matzah. So for every holiday, out came the matzah. Rosh Hashanah, there was matzah. Yom Kippur, there was matzah. Hanukkah, there was matzah. Purim, there was matzah. Shavuot, there was matzah. Any holiday you can think of, the matzah came out. And I would go over there and I would say, listen, I know what I'm talking about. You just put this out on Passover and no other time. Well, didn't work. Matzah came out anyway. And then, for anybody in Naples who is Orthodox, if there are some. There's Chabad over there. If you're Orthodox, you look at the packages. And the matzah they put out on Passover said this matzah is not kosher for Passover. I loved it. The bitter herbs. The bitter herbs symbolize the bitterness of slavery, the life of hard labor that the Israelites experienced. And then there's an orange sitting up there high and above the rest. Do you see the orange? Do you see the orange? It's colored orange. Okay. Okay. During our Seder, we are reminded over and over to tell this important story of freedom to each other and to those who will come after us. We do this to remember, to feel a connection to the story of the Israelites, so we will never take our freedom for granted. Every generation is plagued with different challenges to freedom. Every generation has different challenges. And our story takes on new meanings throughout hundreds and hundreds of years. In the modern era, alongside the symbols of old, newer elements have been added to many Seder plates to remind us of present-day struggles and triumphs. And I have one here. And I want to bring this to your attention. The orange began originally during the beginnings of the feminist movement, around the time Betty Friedan wrote her book. And during that time, the orange symbolized freedom for women, which has largely been won, but not completely. And my daughter points out to me that there are exceptions still today. And by chance, if you pick up the supplement, This is the most recent outrage against women that I want to share with you. And it's a prayer for the hostage women and children. And, this I'm going to make an exception. Jane, would you come up and read this prayer, please? It's got to come from a woman, that's why. Jane recently had back surgery, and because of you and your good wishes, she now puts on 10,000 steps a day. Hold the applause. All right, this is serious. This is a prayer for the latest outrage against women, a prayer for the hostage women and children.
Our God, the God of our ancestors, free all those captured in war. Free the captive women. Free our mothers, grandmothers, daughters, sisters, and aunts. Free the babies and children, senselessly, violently kidnapped. Fulfill that great mitzvah, that holy duty of redeeming the captive. May they all return swiftly to their families and their homes. May women's bodies be sacred and safe. Shekhinah, nurturing presence, watch over them, guard them, protect them, bring them home. Blessed are you, eternal our God, who frees the captive.
Thank you. Now we're on page 18. In every generation, everyone is obligated to see themselves as though they personally left Egypt. The Seder reminds us that it was not only our ancestors whom God redeemed us too along with them. That's why the Torah says God brought us out from there in order to lead us to and give us the promised land, the promise to our ancestors. And there is a legend. Everybody in this room sort of looks familiar to everybody else. Let me tell you why. It's because we are told that all the Jews who went out of Egypt stood at Mount Sinai together. Not only those who physically went out, but also their descendants. One way or another, all of us were standing at Sinai. So if the person at the next table looks vaguely familiar, you understand why. Please pour a second glass of wine. If you didn't drink the first one, drink two. And join Debbie in the blessing.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. L'chaim. To life.
Okay, now the rest of the Seder is going to be primarily music and singing and all the songs that you know and don't know. So we're going to turn to Dayenu, and you will find it, don't start yet. We are going to turn to Dayenu.
Page 20.
Page 20. Page 20. It's color at the bottom of the page.
Start?
Yeah, what we're going to do is we're going to sing this. We're going to do the refrain 3 times during this, not after every verse. So we'll get through it.
Dayenu, 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 Dayenu. Ilu hotzianu mi Mitzrayim, hotzianu mi Mitzrayim, dayenu. Ilu natan lanu et Shabbat, natan lanu et Shabbat, dayenu. Ilu natan lanu et Torah, natan lanu et Torah, dayen. If you don't know, it's one word, dayenu. Dayenu, 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 dayenu. Dainu.
Okay, follow me. Had God brought us out of Egypt and not divided the sea for us?
Dainu.
Had God punished the Egyptians and destroyed their idols?
Dainu.
Had God divided the sea and led us across on dry land?
Dainu.
Had God taken us out of the desert for 40 years and fed us manna?
Dainu.
Da-da-dum-dum.
Dainu. 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 Had God given us Shabbat? Dainu. Had God brought us to Mount Sinai and given us the Torah? Dainu. Had God brought us to the land of Israel and built the holy temple? Dainu. For all these alone and together we say, and could it not be 2025 and I get to do this with my dad? Dainu. 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 Dainu.
Okay, we are now going to focus on matzah for a minute. Everybody grab a piece of matzah and do nothing for a moment. Take a piece of matzah. Is there some matzah left? Okay. First, we're going to recite the matzah, the motzi.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen.
Now there are 3 more steps. The next one is the blessing particularly for matzah, al achilat matzah.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al achilat matzah.
Okay, now everybody grab some horseradish.
Ooh.
Put the horseradish on the matzah, and you're going to take it straight.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al achilat maror.
And now if you can, take some of the charoset on the table, combine it with the maror, with the bitter herbs, with the horseradish, between 2 pieces of matzah. We're told that Rabbi Hillel did this in ancient times. We do it today. You are creating the Hillelowitz.
I think the meal is served.
And the meal is served. Fantastic.
Let me help you down.
I'm okay.
Here.
Yeah.
Here.
Okay. I want to take this with me.
Okay, you want me to carry it?
One side.
Huh?
Yeah. Just take this. Okay, I'm with you. Good. Thank you. Okay.
The American
Okay, are we having fun yet?
I still have a voice.
Yeah, not much. Enough to get me through it anyway.
Good job, Dave.
Jerry, when you talk to Neely, wish her a happy.
I will for you.
No, you did. And it probably went.
We're having fun yet? Okay. Good. Good. If I knew there were going to be more kids here, I would have brought you into the...
They were a little shy,
Okay, in that case, you're lucky.
but thank you for the
Right.
service.
Okay, we're having fun yet?
Oh, it's great. That's wonderful. Great job.
Except I didn't expect soup in the middle of it.
How are you?
Hi.
It's wonderful.
Oh, my God. Anyway, thank you for coming. It's good to see you.
Thank you so much. We're page 28, so I don't
Hi, are we having fun yet?
think there's any vote.
Okay.
Happy bow tie there. Very
You
good.
like that?
Yes.
I tied it myself.
Good job. Very good.
Thank you.
So, Marshall High.
So when I was in college, I put on one of those clip-on bow ties,
Yes.
and my older friend said to me, "Why do you want to look like a waiter?"
So you learned to tie.
So I Okay. Would everyone who can hear me please say shh? Worked. Thank you. So I want you to,
Oh, third glass of wine.
I want you to see something that's important.
Dad, you want to sit down?
I will. I want you to take the supplement for a minute because I'm giving you a present. I'll tell you what it is. Please take the supplement. This is something that you can take home with you and think about, and I wish you would think about it. We're living in a time of considerable chaos, to understate the reality. And in the last month, some of my colleagues, namely the Reform rabbis in the Washington, D.C. area, got together to answer a question. The question was, what can we do for the people in our congregations in light of everything that's happening? And you can imagine whatever we read about and hear about on television from Washington is far more intense for the people who live there and deal with it every day. So what they did was they said, let's give them some answers, something to hold on to, something stable. And so if you turn to number 9 in the supplement, page 5, or number 9, either one. What they did was put together a very concise listing of what Jewish people believe, realizing at the same time that they came up with what's normally called Judeo-Christian ethics. And right now, Matt Agnew is in the room. He is our chaplain for all of Moorings Park. And he will testify to what I am saying. And he hasn't even heard it yet because I haven't said it yet. But this is the basis of Jewish belief, and it is also the basis of Christian belief. Because what they did, these Washington rabbis, was to set down a list of the values that they believe don't change. Because everything around them is changing. This is the constant, this is what you hold on to. And so, we're not going to read it now, it's a page and a half long. I want you to look at it at home. And in each case, the source is given, either the biblical source or the rabbinic source. Judaism draws from two sources, the rabbinic source and biblical source. And this is it. This doesn't change. This is stable. This is what we believe. And when everything looks very screwy to you, take this out and say, this is what I believe. Look it over, and you'll understand. And your emotional temperature will go down. So, because you all just found the Afikomen, You got a prize. That's the prize. Okay, let's get on with some singing here. I think we need to welcome Elijah. He is on page 29.
No third cup of wine?
But first, there's one obligation you have. Would you please pour yourself another glass of wine?
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen l'chaim,
L'chaim.
to life.
And Elijah is
Gotta
the
open the door.
defender of God to a disbelieving people. At the end of his life, rather than dying, he was brought directly on a chariot to heaven. Some believe Elijah will return to herald a new age of peace, and so we set a place for Elijah, hoping he may join us and bring peace to the whole world.
Eliyahu Hanavi, Eliyahu Hatishbi, Eliyahu, Eliyahu, Eliyahu Hagiladi, Bimera v'yamenu, Yavo Elenu, Mashiach ben David, Mashiach ben David, Eliyahu Hanavi, Eliyahu Hatishbi, Eliyahu, Eliyahu, Eliyahu Hagiladi.
That was lovely. Lovely, lovely. Take a drink of wine, please.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen l'chaim, to
L'chaim.
life.
Okay, Debbie, you want to do Chad Gadya next?
Sure.
Okay. Would you please turn to 35, Chad Gadya. One kid. Now this needs a little explanation too, so I'm going to give it to you. There's a sequence of events here of causalities. My father, this is an old legend, my father bought for 2 zuzim, that's some denomination of money, that one thing caused the next, caused the next, caused the next, caused the next. And they decided that this also represented the people of Israel because we were conquered by the Babylonians and the Assyrians and the Greeks and the Romans, and one after the next, each kingdom conquering the one before. Chad Gadya, Chad Gadya.
Okay.
Along came the this and devoured the that.
Okay, I promise if this is your first Seder, you will learn this song. Super easy. Ready? Just as this. Chad Gadya, Chad Gadya. You want to try that? Chad Gadya, Chad Gadya. My father bought for 2 zuzim. Chad Gadya, Chad Gadya. Then came the cat that ate the kid. My father bought for 2 zuzim. Chad Gadya, Chad Gadya. Then came the dog that bit the cat that ate the kid. My father bought for 2 zuzim. Chad Gadya, Chad Gadya. Came the stick that beat the dog that bit the cat that ate the kid. My father bought for 2 zuzim. Chad Gadya, Chad Gadya. Then came the fire and burnt the stick that beat the dog, bit the cat that ate the kid. My father bought for 2 zuzim.
God, God.
You got it. Then came the water that quenched the fire, burnt the stick, beat the dog that bit the cat that ate the kid. My father bought for 2 zuzim. Chad, gad, ya. Then came the ox that drank the water that quenched the fire, burnt the stick that beat the dog that bit the cat that ate the kid. My father bought for 2 zuzim. Chad, gad, ya. Then came the butcher that killed the ox that drank the water that quenched the fire, burnt the stick that beat the dog that bit the cat that ate the kid. My father bought for 2 zuzim. Chad, gad, ya. Chad, gad, ya. Oh boy, it's getting dark. Then came the angel of death, who slayed the butcher that killed the ox that drank the water that quenched the fire, burnt the stick that beat the dog that bit the cat that ate the kid. My father bought for 2 zuzim. Chad, gad, ya. Chad, gad, ya. Then came the Holy One, blessed be He, who destroyed the angel of death, who slayed the butcher and killed the ox and drank the water, quenched the fire and burnt the stick that beat the dog that bit the cat that ate the kid. My father bought for 2 zuzim. Chad, gad, ya. Chad, gad, ya. You did great.
Lovely.
Go
lovely.
Moorings Park.
Give yourselves a round of applause. Who knows one? Anybody? Turn to the supplement, number 11.
All right. For some reason, this is backwards, but we're going to start with 1. It goes like this. It's kind of the same concept. We work backwards. Who knows one? I know one. One is our God in heaven and on earth. Then I'm going to go to 13 on the bottom and work our way up. Who knows 13? I know 13. 13 are the attributes of God. 12 are the tribes of Israel. 11 were the stars in Joseph's dream. 10 commandments were given on Sinai. 9 is the number of the holidays. 8 days the service of the covenant. 7 days there are in a week. 6 sections the Mishnah has. 5 books in the Torah. 4 the number of the matriarchs. 3 is the number of the
patriarchs.
2 are the tables of the covenant. 1 is our God in heaven and on earth.
Okay, now last year, those of you who are here know that we introduced a version of this song in Ladino. Ladino sounds like Spanish, but it's not Spanish.
Grab that chair.
It's an old Spanish. Right, and Marcelo brought this with him from Argentina. So I'm going to let Marcelo explain this.
it?
Give him the mic.
Come sit with me. There you go.
This is especially important right now, and it's especially important to Marcelo. So I want you to listen.
Hi. As you can hear by my accent, I'm a foreigner and I'm an immigrant. And I've been thinking about this song. It's a song written by the Spanish Jews before the Inquisition. And as you know, pretty much all Jews from Spain were expelled from Spain. Massive deportation. Does it sound familiar? And as an immigrant, I cannot stop to think about the current situation that I feel myself as an immigrant and the millions of immigrants, documented or undocumented, that are in this country. And I had the sense that probably they are feeling the way our ancestors felt in Spain back in 1492.
Yeah.
And I'm not here to talk politics or tell you what to do, but I think as Jews, I wanna read one of the homework that Rabbi Perman told you to do. I wanna read this paragraph that is in the list. As Jews, we believe in welcoming the stranger, the alien in our midst, the one who lives with us. We are commanded to love the stranger as ourselves. We are a people of repeated migrations, descended from those who were strangers in the land of Egypt. So with these words, let's sing Quien supiese y entendiese, alabar a Dios créense, cuál es el uno, cuál es el uno.
Number 12.
Uno es el creador, uno es el creador. Uno es el creador, Baruch Hu, Baruch Shemo. Quien supiese y entendiese y alabar al Dios, créanse cuáles son los dos, cuáles son los dos. Dos Moshe y Aarón, uno es el creador, uno es el creador, Baruch Hu, Baruch Shemo. Quien supiese y entendiese, alabar al Dios, créense cuáles son los tres, cuáles son los tres. Tres nuestros padres son Abraham, Isaac y Jacob, dos Moshe y Aarón. Uno es el creador, uno es el creador, Baruch Hu, Baruch Shemo.
Should we go all the way to the end?
Yeah.
We're going to go to the end. That's what we do in our house. We skip to the last verse. Covers all the bases.
Covers
You ready? Here we go. We're going to go for 13. Yeah? Okay.
Quien supiese y entendiese, alabar a Dios, créense cuáles son los tres.
Well, last year they told us to slow down. ¿Cuáles son los 13?
13 años de Minyan, 12 tribus de Israel, 11 estrellas del sueño de Yosef, 10 mandamientos de la ley, 9 meses de la preñada, 8 días de Brit Milá, 7 días de la semana, 6 días sin Shabbat, 5 libros de la ley, 4 madres de Israel, Sara, Rivka, Lea, Rachel, 3 nuestros padres son Abraham, Isaac y Jacob, 2 Moshe y Aarón, 1 es el creador, Baruch Hu, Baruch Shemo.
Yay!
Bravo, Marcelo.
Thank you, Marcelo. And aren't we good? This is really, your Latino has really improved since last year. Okay, finally, Adir Hu. Adir Hu, that everybody knows, is the one in the supplement. And
Should we start with the English?
yeah, we'll start with the Hebrew and then go to
Okay. I do what my dad says. Here we go. Adir hu, yivnei veto bekaro, bimheira, v'yameinu bekarov, el bnei veitcha bekaro. Okay, God of might. This is in English. God of might, God of right, thee we give all glory. Thine all praise in these days, as in ages hoary. When we hear, year by year, freedom's wondrous story. Now as erst, when thou first made the proclamation, warning loud every proud, every tyrant nation. We thy fame still proclaim, loud in adoration. All right, last verse. Let's make it big, right? Let's do it. Be with all who enthrall to their tasks are given. By thy power speed the hour when their chains are riven. Earth around will resound joyful hymns to heaven.
And ladies and gentlemen, this concludes the Seder.
Happy Passover!
Please take these Haggadahs, especially, and the supplements home with you. Please look over our core principles
Next year in
again
Jerusalem.
and benefit from that. Please convey my apologies to your grandparents, your grandfathers, but let me answer, as any good Reform rabbi would, they did what they had to do, and we have to do what we have to do. Chag Sameach, happy Passover to everybody. Thank you to the chef, thank you to the waiters, the servers. Thank you, Trudy, for making everything happen. Thank you, Debbie, for coming. And thank you all for coming. Give yourselves a big round.
And dessert is coming.
And dessert is coming. Okay. Welcome.